So thank you for being here. Really want to welcome Tim from who's working with Advisors Give Back, who'll be speaking with us today about making the most of what you've got, how to um, use the money you have in the best way possible. And Tim is a certified financial planner, originally from Bend, Oregon, who has resided in the Bay Area for nearly 2 decades. As a modern Renaissance man, Tim brings a refreshing blend of analytical rigor and heartfelt humanity to his role as a financial advisor. His overarching goal to leave every person he works with feeling empowered, uplifted, inspired, joyful, and at ease. With a master's degree in world religions and over 2 decades of experience as a mindful meditation instructor, Tim weaves mindfulness and intention into his advisory work. He's a returned Peace Corps volunteer and is fulfilled by being of service and helping others to achieve their goals. And we're having him here today as part of our launching Working with Advisors Give Back and providing one-on-one expert guidance to anybody who would like it to achieve their financial goals. So why don't you take it away, Tim?
Great. Thanks so much, Celia. Okay, so um, I'll just ask for forgiveness at the beginning. I got a little bit of a cold, so if my voice cracks a little bit, that's what's going on there. But I think it's not so bad that I'm losing it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I've got a little PowerPoint that we can go from. As Celia said, the topic tonight: making the most of what you've got. Practical steps to strengthen your financial life. Um, and as you said, I'm a CFP. And for those who don't know, you can think of a financial advisor, certified financial planner, as somebody who's kind of the quarterback of somebody's financial life, of working with them. We hold all the different pieces of somebody's financial life with them. Um, we have a level of expertise in each one of the areas, which includes retirement planning, investing, insurance planning, tax planning, estate planning, and we have rigorous education and board exam that we sat through and conquered to earn that designation. But when we're holding all those pieces, we will work with experts in those areas as well. So we partner with, say, an estate attorney when we have a depth of knowledge that goes beyond what we know. Then we'll partner somebody with somebody in that field, or CPAs or whatnot. So we're the quarterback. And what's great about when you find working with CFPs, you know that they're held to a standard that's very rigorous. And being a fiduciary, probably for that term, but that we have to put a client's needs first above our own. So seems like it should be the standard for everybody, but sadly it's not. So when you see that CFP designation, you know that your needs are going to be put first. So what I'd like to say, just kind of quickly about my background, is I have a background of working for a number of years on the debt side with individuals. So people who owe, quite a lot of money to tax debt to the IRS or state tax authorities, or credit card debt as well. And then, you know, the second half of my career, I transitioned into working more with people with higher financial net worth. And really, what I can say from my experience is we're working with the same principles. I kind of see it as a spectrum of somebody who's, way in debt on one side and somebody who's got a lot of financial net worth on the other side. The principles that we're working with are the same. And it's somewhere along that spectrum where we all lie, that we might be somewhere either neutral, like we don't have any debt, but we haven't really built up any, money to save or invest. And then everybody's somewhere on that spectrum. So sometimes people can get the idea that financial planning is not for them because they don't have money to invest, or they might be dealing with debt or something else. And I would say that financial planning, and when I introduce Advisors Give Back and what we do there, I think it's perfect for everyone. So I think everybody can benefit from working with somebody. Let's see, I'll go forward here. Here's just an overview of the agenda, what we'll go over. Introduction, already started that. We'll go through the kind of key tenets to kind of to look at with financial planning. And then the second half, I'll introduce advisors give back and see how they can help, and we can help put those into action. So really what you're going to hear me really banging the drum is the small changes makes big impacts. So wherever we're at on that spectrum, to realize that every dollar that we have has power, our choices and what we do. And coming to financial planning and actually prioritizing it is putting a focus and building an intention and saying, hey, I want to pay attention to this. I want to prioritize my finances. I've got some goals. And just by doing that, you're already on the track of moving forward. So it doesn't have to be some revolutionary change that you make overnight to like, oh, I want to get from A to Z. It's actually recognizing like, okay, I'm gonna take a reality check of where I'm at and where I want to go. And like the meme says here, life's a journey, not a destination. It never ends. Like people can build up great wealth and then they're still concerned about, some people with great wealth may be overspending. So they might be on a trajectory where they could be running out of money in a short period of time, even though to other people, it looks like they're set and their money set. Or there might be issues with if they don't have enough insurance, they could lose money or, all these different things. So it's really just to see, and like the title of the talk is, where are we at? And we're not going to be the same place as anybody else. It's unique to each individual. And I think that can be a empowering insight. When we're looking at financial planning, we basically see it as there's four main pillars. We're going to take a look at our income. We're going to take a look at our expenses. We're going to look at our assets, what we own, and then we're going to look at our debts. And moving forward here, it's really important as we prioritize this to know like where's our money coming from and where's it going. Like, so I know some people are really adverse to tracking or keeping budgets, and I get that. And some people they're just not going to do it, and that's okay. There's ways to do that. But if somebody's willing to, it can be really insightful to take a period of time. Say I sit here, say 30 days to just track everything and to start without judgment. And it's always pretty amazing because we will oftentimes see our habits changing just by putting a light on what that is. I know I've done that before with diet or the gym or whatever. Just by tracking something, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm buying quite a few mochas at Starbucks or something. And so the next time I'm going to go there, I might be like, maybe I'll get something else, or maybe I'll, find an alternative, which we'll talk about later. So, but to start with, not trying to make any changes, just trying to look and analyze at what the situation is. And there's, there, once you do that, you can, for 30 days, I personally still just either use a spreadsheet, it doesn't cost any money to open up a, Google spreadsheets or just a spreadsheet. But I think there's a lot of apps out there too that are reasonably priced, like Monarch Money is one, or You Need a Budget, or you can, you can get as kind of complex and detailed with it as you want. But I think at the end of the day, we really just want to be able to look at data, like what am I spending my money on? And then as we get into actually tracking that and looking at, okay, here's my income, here's my expenses, we can start to categorize like which of these things are like, I definitely need these things. Like I got to pay my rent, I got to pay for health insurance, these different things. And then there's a lot that start to get bucketed into just wants or things that we could do without. So once we can start to get that information together, then we can start to analyze it. We can start to look for patterns of our spending, and like I said, everybody's unique, but I think everybody has a similar kind of experience of being like, sometimes it's like, oh, like it's a little bit of a reality check. But I think if approached with the right attitude and, just like, okay, this is what it is, it can be, kind of fun, to take a look at what's the reality. So then when we get into that, we can start thinking about, budgets, and do we want to make some changes to try to prioritize, what's essential, what's not. I wrote a note here, thinking of the library, of maybe I'm spending a lot of money on, Amazon books or something, or someplace else, and that's a place I want to, cut back. I'm like, oh, I could, go to the library, find the books I want to read, or there's so many different options like that. So when we're going to look at reducing expenses, we don't necessarily have to completely rob ourselves of the joy or the experience that we're having. There's oftentimes some opportunities out there to do something similar at a lower cost. So, and I wrote down planning for fun too, because all this can just feel kind of daunting and heavy if we're not actually like enjoying our lives. So it's making sure we can put money away to keep doing the things we enjoy. Um, which then brings me into the next topic, which is taking that painful look at debt. What kind of debt are we carrying? And I know for a lot of people, it can be such a heavy weight, and a lot of people don't want to look at it, or just it just keeps building. And I've found it working with clients, particularly in advisors get back, when they start talking about it, it's like starts to feel more manageable for them, because there are options. There's options with debt that, if we're just head in the sand and we don't actually want to look at what's going on, it's just going to keep doing what it's done in the past, and that weight's there, whether we realize it or not. There can be a lot of kind of shame that people feel, or just vulnerability of talking about it. But once that, it's great to use the advisor to actually talk about that, because then they can help, bring you resources that can help with that. So really what you want to take a look at is, what are the debts that you have, what are the interest rates, what are the payments that you're making. And then when you get that data, you can really ask yourself, like, is there a feasible way that I'm going to be able to pay off these debts? Is like looking at my income, looking at my life, looking at maybe other sources of money, looking at my expenses. Is there a plan that I could, in the some foreseeable future, pay this off? And if the answer is no, you know, then depending on how much debt you have, and if it's credit card debt, and what the, interest rates are and everything else, eventually that's going to come to a point where you're going to need to deal with it. And there are different options. There's credit counseling options that advisors get back and help with, to put you in touch with people that specialize in that. And there, you might be able to settle if you're in a situation and your credit card debt for less than what you owe, or bankruptcy might be your best option, or it's just all on the table, what the best advice is depending on your circumstance. Then when you can, some way, shape, or form, get that weight off of you, you can start thinking more like forward with your money, with, okay, um now, can I build a buffer up, so then maybe in the future I can avoid having to go into debt? Sometimes, a lot of times debt is an investment in yourself. You have student loans, or you might have maybe not worked for a while and built up some credit debt so you could go to school or do something, and then later you can make money and pay that off. And if it's invested in just that you spent money carelessly or whatnot, it's okay. Like, no judgment. Like, it's just like, okay, what do you want to do going forward? If people are in that space, they obviously want to do something differently. So then we can start to look at growing your savings. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you have crippling, debt that's all at high interest rates and everything, and then also over here you're thinking about putting some money away and maybe getting 4% interest or something, and maybe the credit card debt is 20 some percent interest. Like, you're kind of in two different places with that. So it makes sense to try to optimize your whole plan together. So um, the key thing, which you could think about, is, yeah, if you're paying more, than what you're saving, then you probably should use your excess money to try to pay down or off your debts first. Um, and then for settlement, situations, maybe you're settling your debt on less than you owe. You have to look at like, am I making more money than my expenses are? Because if not, you're going to be right back in the same place, and you're spending more than you have. So it's got to come from somewhere. So, um, but once you do get to that place, and you've got some money, then you can start thinking about, okay, I want to put money away for, emergency fund. And it's typically recommended maybe 3 to 6 months of uh your expenses that, not your essential expenses, that you've got enough money set aside for your rents, your, different things. And you just have that sitting in a savings account or maybe a CD or something where it's liquid. And if you need to draw from that at a certain point in time, in between jobs or different things, you'd have that available for yourself. Um, and then you look for opportunities to set yourself up to save consistently, even if it's a little bit of money at a time that you're taking out, from your checking and putting into a savings, or if there's 401k contributions that you can be making, they just automated happen, builds up your 401k. Just consistently, like I said at the beginning, small consistent steps add up over time. And then when you're got, okay, we've got your emergency fund, our debts are managed, we know our income and expenses, we're aware of our spending, we've kind of got a budget, either very detailed or loose, but we know in the ballpark of what we're doing each month, each period of time. Then you can start thinking about what to do with the money that you're starting to build up. So you can think of savings accounts, uh investing now. CDs are paying, have been the last couple of years, like a pretty good amount. Money market funds, different things are low risk. And then if you want to, think longer term, and you're thinking about, riskier, but depending on your risk level and your investment horizon, you can start thinking about brokerage accounts or individual retirement accounts, or, you're putting money away for 10, 20, 30 years from now, that you're, you know, investing soundly. Like said, the diversification is the only free lunch, where you don't have all your eggs in one basket. We have seen that where everybody's you've got their money in a particular crypto, or they've got it in one stock, a company that they so believe in or work for, and that's, not advisable. I mean, some people hit a home run with that, and that's great, but most people, you want to, our firm's philosophy is be invested in the market, like as far and wide and as you can, in mutual funds and stocks and bonds. Uh and then real estate is another place that some people, have a strong conviction of, that they invest in. And so you could see the steps of the ladder here. Of you're tracking things, you're looking at your debt situation, you're starting to grow your savings, and now you're investing, for the future. Again, you know the future is not guaranteed, and we don't know, like we all have an idea what it's going to look like, but there's no end to it. Nobody like arrives and then it's over. But we also want to be, if we can, thinking forward, by our actions now, so setting ourselves up for success. So um some of the other topics, financial planning, I'll just kind of gloss over for the purpose of this conversation. But we will look at tax planning. You work with CPAs, um, uh, optimize whether you're going to invest in a Roth IRA, or are there charitable, activity that you can do that gives you some tax um, deductions, or, different things. So uh, again, this is kind of like the next step in things that people are thinking about. Insurance, that's a big one. When you start to build something up, are you protecting it? Could something go wrong, that you don't have the appropriate amount of coverage for the house that you invested in, or God forbid some auto uh, accident happens and you weren't cut, all those different things, where you start thinking about, like, okay, how can we mitigate the risk out there? Nobody likes to pay for insurance, and you don't want to overpay for insurance that you don't need. But if you're thinking about, if you have a child and you're thinking longer term, like What if, one of the parents is not able to continue with the income? You're thinking about life insurance or disability insurance, or these different things. So, and then estate planning comes into play too. If you have something that you're leaving to the next generation or to charities or whoever it is that you want to pass along, whatever it is that you have, then there's, okay, looking at the beneficiaries on your retirement accounts, um, looking at how you're setting things up. Maybe you want to develop a trust, or you have your will, or a big one is thinking about healthcare issues with having an advanced. Everybody should have an advanced healthcare directive. It's called. You can download it for free and fill it out. Have it notarized, and those are the cases that if you were to become incapacitated or something were to happen, you have somebody who's making those decisions for you that align with your wishes and that you've set. So, yeah, again, each one of those things, and we'll approaching the place where I'll introduce advisors get back. The advisor that you're working with has some pretty good level and depth of knowledge of each one of those areas. So each person that comes might be like, "Hey, I've got a lot of debt," and somebody else might be like, "I want to buy a house," and somebody else might be like, "Oh, I'm thinking of my estate, and what should I do?" It's like they can be specific to your needs. Um, so finally, before that, the advice is, yeah, use what's available out there. Use if you're working for an employer who's offering like retirement plans, 401k, 403b, HSA. Use your HR to see like are there employer matching amounts, and can I it's essentially kind of seen as free money. Like they'll match whatever up to a certain percentage that you're able to put in there. So, and then community resources, like I said before, for credit counseling, if you got any tax help, and then advisors give back. So, all these different things that I've spoken to, I'll now introduce this great program that I became aware of about a year ago, and it was something that just like completely aligned with my desire to be of service and to help people where they're at, and the system and everything that they've got set up is like super user friendly. It's confidential coaching. It's free. The advisors aren't going to try to sell anything or get you invested in anything. It's all just pro bono work that we're doing, and it's kind of maybe a little bit sometimes like speed dating. Like you got 30 minutes that first conversation, and people come in and they're pretty clear on these are what I want to do, or this is what I'm thinking. And if they're not clear, then that conversation can help clarify like what are the things that are most important to them. There's the website right there, which we'll put later too. So there are a few qualification requirements. Total savings that a client has, it's got to be under $250,000. Single individuals need to earn less than $100,000, and married couples earn less than 150,000. They've set the minimums, or maximums there just to serve the targeted population, where people beyond that kind of see they could hire a financial advisor or CFP. But I think that's a good amount there. And then the different things that, tying in, and lo and behold, it's most of the things that I just introduced that advisors get back and help with, like creating a plan to pay off debt, building savings or an emergency fund, budgeting to make the most out of your money, understanding investing basics. Maybe you're at a big financial decision point, like, am I going to buy a home? Do I want to keep renting? What's that look like? Saving for retirement. And then again, like I said before, like whatever topics are specific to your need, there's again the wealth of knowledge that the advisor has, is they can probably either give you good advice, whatever it is you need, or they've got their own connections that they can find somebody who can. So what you can expect is they're one-on-one sessions, again, completely confidential, completely private. So it's kind of breaking that seal, the first point of like, okay, like what I've experienced is once people start telling you about their money, that's one of the things in our cultures people seem to hold the kind of most close to the chest or most dear, and they can trust somebody to start to talk about that stuff and get some good advice, and then start to put that advice into some very, approachable, user friendly actions, and then put that into action and feel that progress, feel that sense of like, oh, that feels less of a weight on me, or I feel like I moved forward in that particular area. It becomes something that you want to keep coming back to. It's like going to the gym or working a muscle or doing something. So, what I've found and the feedback back that we've gotten is their platform is really helpful and user friendly and right to the point. And we'll do that call, identify what the goals are, be able to put in, maybe 1 to 3 to 5 very clear action items that get sent back to the client, and then they can go back and work on that. And in between, if things come up, they can be in touch and message the coach or the support system and get the help they need. And then there's follow up calls. You can follow up 20-minute call, see how things are going, kind of like with the good encouraging coach, or to be like, okay, good job, you're on that, or okay, what happened, like what blockade got in your way or whatnot, and really is a non-judgmental thing. Like, everybody wants to succeed and everybody wants to help everybody else to succeed, and there's nothing other invested in it by the advisors than that. So it's not like it's got to be some heavy handed thing. So the dashboard, um you can track your tasks and goals, stay on top of your plan, and then, like I was saying, like the momentum that you build and each of those small steps really can feel fun, feel like you're winning the game, I guess, that never ends. So, and then lastly, like how to sign up. Quick, easy sign up. Just go to the website, and then you can schedule your first session, and then go from there. So I love this, to end with this quote from Mr. Rogers, that we come back to every once in a while. Anything that's mentionable is manageable. So again, wherever somebody's at on that spectrum, same principles. If you start talking about it and just like be transparent, you're going to get help that actually will help you, and you get to be the one that uh, puts that item into action, and it gets to feel all those great feelings of moving forward. So um, yeah, I think that's basically what I have for now, and I just I'd like to open it up if there's any questions from what I'd shared, or yeah, anything.